One of the things is we have to hold those accountable who are undertaking these actions. I mean, when we talk about war, the individual citizen who lives on the block in Detroit has very little to do with deciding what wars we are going to fight in.
Right.
And when we do have an issue with whether we're going to go to war, we are often accused of being unpatriotic if we oppose that war.
Right.
The fact of the matter is that we have been fighting continuously for almost 17 years in the Middle East.
Right.
And I don't remember if anybody, I don't think anybody asked me if we ought to fight that war. And I'm a former military officer.
I mean, has anybody done a town hall? And asked you to come to a town hall?
No, and I don't think anybody is. And frankly, has done that. And frankly, it's a decision that under our Constitution is one that rests with Congress. And Congress appears to have abdicated that role such that we are continuing to fight in Afghanistan and Syria.
That's right. George Bush got a blank check for a lie to go to war in Iraq. Let's go to Harry. Harry, and I'm coming to John in a minute. Harry, question or comment on Dr. King and the war in Vietnam? Of course, we can look at other wars as well.
Okay. Well, I'll try to make it brief since you're going to John in a minute. I kind of think that you guys are being hypocritical in complaining about a system that you're taking part in. I mean, every foot of highway you drive on is paid for with Indian tears, with people that are being bombed and everything.
It's paid for with what?
There are American...
Oh, hold on. I want you to break it down and make your point, because you said we're being hypocritical. So I need you to make your point and be clear as possible. Go ahead.
You are talking about things that when you're not talking about them, you are receiving benefit from.
What do you mean benefits from what?
I mean, as you partake in society, as you drive on public roads, as you complain about...
And guess what? It's not, you know why? It's not free. It's called being a taxpayer. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, hold on. Stop right there. Stop right there. Listen, stop right there. Okay. So you understand that we're taxpayers, right?
60% of our taxes go to the military.
Hold on, listen to me. So we are taxpayers, right?
60% to the military.
I'm not coming to that. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, do we establish the premise that we are taxpayers? Do you agree to that premise?
Yes.
So do we get, if we receive benefits in exchange for taxes that we pay, does that mean we have to be overly excited about that?
That means that if you know the truth, that you partake in the evil to enrich yourself, you are a hypocrite.
Oh,
that's what it means.
All right. You're not helping me. You're not making any sense. You're not making. You know what? Let me. No. You're not. Because you know where your argument needs to go. You know where I would recommend you make your argument to?
Where, sir?
Take it to the American Enterprise Institute, the AEI in New York, or take it to the neocons. Okay? Thank you so much. Let's move on. Bill.
Well, I'd like to say that yes, we do benefit. But the point this caller was making, though, is a nihilistic point of view, which is if you receive benefits, you are being hypocritical. And if you know the truth, you should not participate in the system. Well, the fact of the matter is that I believe that the system can be made better. In fact, if it wasn't capable of being made better, there would be no point in living. We might as well just all shoot ourselves in the head, according to this caller, and I don't intend to shoot myself in the head, thank you.
Yeah, and it's saying we're participating and we're enriching ourselves with the system.
Well, the fact of the matter is that you can always make things better. And the point is, in this speech, Dr. King is calling for America to come back to the ideals that it expresses in its founding documents rather than being hypocritical.
No question. Let's go to John. John has a question or comment.
Yeah, Baker Lady, thank you and your professor there. I guess he's professor. Well, your knowledge is very, very important, and knowledge is power. Now, this is Baker Lady, he was close to you to a certain extent. But let's move on. Speculate, you exactly right. I mean, we are taxpayers. That's the top priority that you ask them, and that's where it should be at for you so forth. And we pay taxes. We pay taxes to the government. We pay taxes to the state. We pay taxes to the city. So
the government is not doing. If you're paying taxes, government is not doing you any favors by returning, by giving you benefits. And we should not sit here and act like, oh wow, this is wonderful.
And frankly, we should.
Go ahead.
Well, that's the way some of them narrow-minded Republican things so forth.
Well, I think go ahead.
And the military complex, that's what they think about them so forth.
Yeah.
So that's what they follow. And I think as you said, and the mayor should be responsible to a certain extent. The governor should be responsible to a certain extent. And the United States government should be responsible. So as you said, they all are responsible. They got a voice. They can speak up in these doggone wars and these toxic wars that the United States are holding on so forth, and they taking money from the American citizens. And they educate American citizens. That's exactly what you're talking about. That's right. People understand.
Thank you.
And the school should be having this report too, and the school teachers. That's what I'm thinking.
Thank you so much, John. Bill, go ahead.
Well, frankly, thinking about that, the previous caller talking about the benefits we receive from the government by taking part in the system.
As if we're freeloading of the system, right?
Well, frankly,
I know where he was going with that.
Given the amount of taxes that we pay, I certainly didn't feel that I was receiving too much of a benefit as I was dodging potholes on the highway out here to the station.
Yeah, no question. Let's go back to Riverside Church for that consequential foreign policy speech called "The War in Vietnam." Dr. King, here it is.
Overthrown, they may have been happy, but the long line of military dictators seemed to offer no real change, especially in terms of their need for land and peace. The only change came from America, as we increased our troop commitments in support of governments which were singularly corrupt, inept, and without popular support. All the while, the people read our leaflets and received the regular promises of peace and democracy and land reform. Now they languish under our bombs and consider us not that fellow Vietnamese, the real enemy. They move sadly and apathetically as we herd them off the land of
the imagery, Bill, that Dr. King is creating here about how we go into nations and drop leaflets, right? Or perhaps, drop chocolates and boxes and, saying we're coming to liberate you. Remember the invasion and the war in Iraq? Saddam Hussein, how, dropping leaflets and so forth. And then when you look at Iraq today, it's a failed state. It's been the breeding ground for ISIS. So this idea of, overthrowing dictators like Saddam Hussein and, liberating people, Iraq has not been liberated. It is a failed state today.
Well, Iraq is a failed state.
I mean, it has had rash of assassinations.
Iraq is a failed state. Other states that we've been involved in, if they aren't failed states, they are close to being failed states. We've got troops we still have troops in Somalia. We have troops in East Africa. We have troops in places like Niger. And we still have troops in South America. And the fact of the matter is that sometimes while we may try to make things better, oftentimes we make things worse.
Right.
And I recall a situation in Vietnam where an Army captain was being interviewed by, I think it was Morley Safer, and they had just destroyed a village. And the Army captain was said to have told Morley Safer, we had to destroy the village to save it. And that's a paradox. If you are going to help people, you can't help them by killing them and destroying them. In fact, in the day and age we're in, the better course for the United States may well be to show that we have a functioning democracy here that allows people to move up out of poverty such that the rest of the world would look at it and say, well, we'd like that too.
No question. Let's go to Z. Z has a question or comment.
Hey, was Dr. King making comments on the war in Vietnam, or was he talking about the war on poverty right here in Detroit, as we currently live in this state where a city has been utterly destroyed, pilfered, under the guise of making it better? I looked at the Detroit News today, an article about a building that once offered an affordable apartment and housing to residents in the $300 to $500 range,
Right.
1 block away from Little Caesars Arena, now being bought out by a private entity, an entity that has worked really hard to keep its identity private, and they're using proxies and third-party firms in order to keep their identity private.
Well, Dr. King was talking about he was juxtapositioning the war in Vietnam vis-a-vis the war in poverty in terms of how billions of dollars are siphoned away from the coffers of taxpayers to sponsor foreign ventures.
Right.
Like Vietnam.
And it's interesting how lessons that we don't really truly learn and grasp keep rearing their heads. And, you know, when we talk about hypocrisy, we think about our personal health, okay? There's no situation that will get better by me ignoring it. When Dr. King laid out a recipe and gave us a cure, or was attempting to act in an instructive manner to the United States by giving them guidance, saying that this is not the direction that we should be taking, that we need to work on the things that are truly going to make America great, to dissolve this permanent underclass that America seems to thrive on, to really shift the balance of capitalism, where we have this permanent underclass that those who are in control continue to profit off of. We chose, well, the government chose, I'm not going to say we, because we were never polled or asked. Although
Right.
our ancestors paid for this country with their blood, with their sweat, with their tears.
Okay.
I'm here to simply receive the benefits that my ancestors have already paid for, while working to make this country a better place for all. But let it be understood, the only way that we can make the situation better is by interacting with it. The only way it's going to get better is by having these difficult conversations, by listening to these instructive tapes, such as the one being provided, that you provided all this week, and taking this very difficult medicine and spreading it all around.
No question. Thank you so much, Z. Bill Knox?
Well, Z makes a very important point. And what we have to look at is, if we look at this speech in isolation, we're doing the wrong thing. We have to look at it not only juxtaposed to other speeches Dr. King gave, like the one we talked about yesterday, The Other America, but also in terms of the context of the timing of this speech. This speech came April 4th, 1967. It was only 3 weeks later that